Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on. We're going to be looking at a few coins. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin, EOS, and Ethereum. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're starting off with Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys. And yesterday we spoke, guys. Bitcoin had broken down off this 7867.50. Broken down from this zone, guys. It was hovering, sitting, consolidating right here about 6,600, 6,650, somewhere thereabouts. I told you guys more than likely it was going to come back down, test this 65.40, and I told you the 65.40 needed to hold. Price came down. It did briefly just penetrate right through this 65.40. The bulls were able to push it right back up, and here we sit right above this 65.40 now, guys, which is a rather bullish sign in my opinion. We are starting to see some structure in the market. Now, I'm not saying that this thing is going to continue up, but I do think we're going to see resolution here in the next week or so, without question. Now, what I'm seeing here, when I say I'm seeing structure in the market, if we come back here, guys, and we look at the past, especially starting from this point here, about September 17th, somewhere thereabouts, we can see that what happened here, or excuse me, sorry guys, not September 17th, September 19th, with this big long wick, we see what happened here. Price came down, created a very strong bottom, got pushed right back up. Sorry, guys, had to pause the video real quick. So, yeah, as I was saying, we created this very strong bottom here, and we are seeing some structure in the market as we see price came up very strongly, came back down, bounced very strongly right here. Why is that relevant? Because it bounced right off of, if I zoom in here, right where prior structure was created by price. That's exactly where we got that bouncing point, which is what you want to see in an uptrend. You want to see a constant retesting of the prior structure. So again, price came back up, bottom or topped out at about the 67.50 point, came back down. Where did we bounce? We bounced again right at the top of where that prior structure was created. A little wick right through it, but again, strong bounce. Zooming in here, what did we see? Price did end up finally breaking up, came back down. What happened? We get this little wick right here that bounced right into this prior structure right here. Consolidate, double bounce, double bottom, very small double bottom, but there it is nonetheless, and then just impulsed right back up. Came back up, topped out, came back down. Where did we find bottom? I told you yesterday that I wanted to see this retesting of 65.40. Wanted to see that zone hold. Now again, yes, admittedly it did break through just slightly, but where did we bounce? We bounced right here at that order, this prior order structure right here, wick down, and the bulls pushed it right back up very strongly up above this 65.40, which has been acting as a very strong resistance in the past. So again, guys, we are seeing some structure in the market. That's a bullish sign overall. Now, whether or not that continues to play out, we'll have to wait and see, guys. We are staying above this ascending support line that's been in place since early September here, September the 8th. Again, that's a bullish sign. As long as we can stay above this this ascending support line, that's going to be very bullish. As soon as that does break down, guys, I told you before, I'll have to reevaluate my my analysis. But for now, guys, things are looking cautiously. I'm thinking things are, or I'm looking at this market with a cautiously optimistic eye. Let's just put it that way. If I come over here and I look at moving averages, pardon me, this is on the 4-hour. We can see that price did end up breaking above this 21-day EMA, found resistance at the 55-day EMA, broke down, but once again found support at the 21-day EMA with a very strong wick right through. So as long as that 21-day EMA holds, again, this is on the daily, guys. I think I said 4-hour. This is on the daily chart. As long as that 21-day EMA holds, guys, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign in my opinion. If we do break below that 21-day EMA, that's going to be a sign of weakness. Come over here to the 4-hour. Pardon me, 4-hour, we can see that price is just finding resistance right at that 50-day moving average, that orange line there, that's the 50-day moving average, but above the 55-day moving or EMA, not moving average, but EMA. So again, just bouncing back and forth, rather neutral indication, showing nothing of significance on the 4-hour. Looking at the 4-hour short chart, we can see shorts are starting to stack just a little bit, not very significantly, but they are stacking nonetheless. We can see that short positions have overtaken long positions again. We look at longs. Longs ended up getting liquidated. They got liquidated with that last dump right here. This rise here then was mostly a stop hunt. Obviously, they ended up liquidating a lot of those long positions, guys. And here we are. Back in the same position to where short positions are now taking over long positions again. Now let's wait and see if they ended up doing another stop hunt, or price ends up getting pushed back up again. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, guys. But right now I'm seeing I'm hands off in this market. I can honestly see, as I've told you guys for about a week now, I can see market makers pushing this thing any direction they want. We come over here, we look at our volume. Again, volume remains about 4.5 billion. That is extremely weak. Once again tells me that market makers can push this thing any direction they want. But again, I am seeing some structure, and that is a bullish sign. Well, again, what do we have to take out? I need to take out this prior high. We created almost a double top right here, tap, tap, and then fell right back down. That's generally a very bearish sign, but as I told you guys, as long as the 65.40 could hold, which that we did not get a 4-hour candle that opened and closed below 65.40, so that is a hold in my opinion, and we're back above it now. We're well above this trend line. Again, all bullish signs in my opinion. Let's wait and see how this kind of plays out, but all bullish signs in my opinion as of yet. Let's looking at, we come over here and we look at the MACD. Let me pull out to the daily. Look at the daily MACD, guys. Why do I say that it looks like we're going to get resolution here fairly soon as far as which direction this thing is going to break? Well, we can see that the ignore the signal line and the MACD line. Ignore that blue and that orange line for those of you who don't know who they are, what those are. Just look at the histogram. The histogram, for those that don't know, is just the red markings there. We can see that they are getting squeezed tighter and tighter within a range there. And as we approach the apex, you expect a larger move to come. What else can we see? We look at the daily RSI. We're seeing a similar pattern, getting squeezed tighter and tighter as we approach the apex. What do you expect? You expect a larger move. So this tells me that we are going to get some kind of resolution here, probably in the next week or so. It doesn't mean we have to. It just means there's a good probability, in my opinion, that that is more than likely going to happen. And which way this thing breaks is honestly anybody's guess, guys. And I know that's frustrating to hear. I know you want to hear from an analyst. It looks like things are going up. It looks like things are going down. And if you Google Bitcoin, you'll find analysts on both sides of the aisle telling you that it's going up to the moon, and others telling you it's going down to zero. So literally, at this point, guys, no one really knows. All I can tell you is that there is structure building in the market. This daily candle so far for today is a rather bullish looking candle. This just looks like a nice bullish looking hammer candle almost. Now we still have quite a few hours left in the day, so it doesn't mean it's going to close this way. But if it does end up closing this way, guys, it's a rather bullish candle. We have a nice long wick here showing you that the bulls were very much in action. There were a lot of buy orders down here ready to catch price, and let's wait and see if it ends up closing there. Let's go ahead and check EOS. Looking at EOS, starting off with the daily, we have a similar pattern. We got price ended up coming down. We had this nice little reversal candle right here. This is on September the 25th. We had a nice little follow through with that. A couple of days of green. We had this nice little almost a neutral candle, almost a spinning top, a bearish one at that though. Today coming in, it was going to be interesting to see how this goes. And so far, the bulls are putting up a pretty good fight, guys. We are still within this 5.71 to 5.83. Price did come back down below this 557, but the bulls pushed it right back up with a very long wick. Now, as I said, guys, we still have quite a few hours left in the day, so who knows how this thing is going to close. But as of now, I'm seeing some positive movement in EOS, and things are looking, they're not looking terrible. It looks like this thing could continue up. If I'm zooming in here to the 4-hour, then again, zooming in, guys, what can I see? We see this nice little, on the 4-hour chart anyway, which isn't as significant as the daily, but still nonetheless, we do have this nice hammer right here. That's a nice reversal candle on the 4-hour. Now let's wait and see if we can get that to last. But so far, so good. We're coming up here, guys. We're entering into this 571 to 583 zone here. Looks like it's consolidating somewhat. What I'd like to see price break above this 583 zone. I need to see it get above that zone, guys. Preferably come up and test this prior order structure right here, where it looks like it created a little bit of a supply zone right in here. We can see wick, 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 and then it just drove right back down. If we can see price come back up, take out some of these some of these sell orders that are more than likely sitting here. If the buys can overtake the sells, and we can end up pushing back up, possibly retesting this high right here and even consolidating in this zone. This zone right up here is a very strong, has ended up being a very strong supply zone. In other words, that means, for those that aren't familiar, that means there's more than likely a lot of sell orders that are sitting up in here. So if we can get price to come up and consolidate in this zone without getting a strong rejection, like right here, we had a strong rejection. If it can come up in this zone and just start to consolidate, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign, guys. If it comes up into this zone with a very strong rejection, clearly that's going to be a very bearish sign. However, if we go swing low, swing high, once again with EOS, we also are seeing, stand by one sec, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Had to take that phone call. Anyway, where was I? If we were looking at, I showed you guys this here yesterday. The last 3 times, starting this time, or starting all the way back to September the 1st, the last few times that price has ended up retracing, it's retraced to the 786 or excuse me, to the 618, and not even starting September the 1st. It was actually starting August the 8th. So price came down, came back up. Again, I showed you guys this last time. Price came down, came back up. Where did it hit? Right inside the 786 fib. Same thing is true here. We go swing high, swing low. Right here, what happened? Price came up. Where did it hit? Perfect hit right off of the 786. So what are we looking at this time here, guys? This time, let's go swing low, swing high, and see what we see. Swing low, or excuse me, swing high, swing low. Swing high, swing low. What did we get this time? Once again, a perfect hit off of the 786. So if usually every time we've hit off that 786, as I pointed out on my last update, I believe it was yesterday, every time we've hit off that 786, we've had a very, very strong, we can see right back here, very strong rejection, very strong, price came back down, almost wanting to retest the lows, didn't quite make it. Bulls were able to push it right back up, but we did have a very strong retrace. This time, if this is the bottom, and that's a big if, but if this is the bottom here, guys, it has not retraced very long. In fact, I don't even think it retraced to the 786. To the 618. No, I mean, it retraced right inside the 50, not even to the 618. So it'd be comparatively a rather shallow retrace. But if I assume that is the bottom, and again, that's a big if, but if I assume that is the bottom and I go swing high, swing low, where would I expect it to retrace to? At least the 786. So let's see. Swing low, swing high. What do we have? We got a retrace. We got a perfect hit so far off of the 618 fib. Now, if we can get above that, where would I expect it to retrace to? I'd expect it to retrace right to the top of this prior order structure, which would be the 786 fib, which would be about 5.91 if history is any guide. So if we can break above 5.91, that's going to break this bearish trend that we've been in. But again, guys, this is a big if. And this is just all I'm doing is watching patterns, trying to find some correlation, trying to find some semblance of a pattern to see if we can predict where price is going next. But right now, this shallower retrace with this nice reversal candle that we have here, it almost looks like a bottom. And let's see if we can get price to come back up and at least test that zone. But if we can break above that zone, that again, guys, that would completely break that bearish trend that we've been in, and hopefully start price up on a newer, more longer term bull run. Now, if we look at this from a Elliott perspective, guys, I'm looking at all this as a 1, a 2. Perfect hit off 786, by the way, on that 2 at the bottom, and then this being the start of wave 3. And this being the start of wave 3, what does it have? Of course, every impulse wave has subwaves. I'm looking at this as subwave 1, 2, and we'll be coming up for subwave 3 within the larger wave 3, if that is the correct count. And again, I'm not saying it is, guys. Let's have to wait and see how it plays out. As you know, I've told you in the past, I don't like to use Elliott in Elliott wave in low volume markets. It works beautifully in high volume markets. It worked beautifully in crypto back in November, December, January. But as the volume dies, typically I find personally that Elliott wave does not work nearly as well and is not nearly as accurate. I know some people will disagree with me on that. I'm happy to have an argument with you, but I prefer everyone just everyone's got to do their own thing, obviously. So anyway, that's just my personal opinion. I find Elliott wave does not work nearly as well in low volume markets. Coming over here, we're looking at Ethereum. Ethereum, again, showing some bullish momentum. I think last time we talked, it had broken down below this ascending resistance line here, was acting as support. Now it's acting as resistance. I was getting crunched right up close to this zone here, right up close to this what was a descending resistance line. I told you I wanted to see a very impulsive break up. We ended up seeing that. We saw this very impulsive break up, came back down, tested it, acted as support. That's extremely bullish, and then impulsed right back up again. And here we sit above this 226 to 220 resistance area, and now should be acting as support. We can see it came back down, bounced right off of it. Let's see if it continues to act as support or even consolidates within that zone. That would be fine with me as well. But it's a very bullish indication that we have broken above this descending resistance line, guys. Pardon me. Okay, sorry guys, had to sneeze there. Pause the video real quick. So getting rid of that descending resistance line we were just talking about, looking at the bigger picture, if I kind of zoom out here a little bit, what am I kind of seeing? If I extend a line from this prior high here, this swing high of this entire structure, extend a line down, touching just the tip, what do we have? Almost a perfect descending resistance line, separate from the one we just had a second ago. Obviously, I should have actually drawn that afterwards, guys. But that second one obviously was coming down right through this zone here. This is a descending resistance that had taken place that was established. Looks like September 1. But if we can get price to break above this zone here, that's going to be extremely bullish. And looking at it from the bottom, I draw a line. What do we have? Again, this started on September the 11th, came up, tested 1, 2, 3 separate times. So that does, in my book, definitely qualifies as a support without question. So I have an absolute support line here, or excuse me, resistance line here that's been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. No question that's a resistance. And I have a ascending support line that's been tested 3 separate times on 3 different occasions. That tells me we are getting squeezed. We obviously have a series of lower highs, higher lows. We know that Ethereum and all other altcoins often follow Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I told you guys that. We just pointed out that Bitcoin was getting squeezed as well, not necessarily in a wedge, although I can certainly make that case. If I come over here and I just draw this line from this prior high over here on July 25th, and I bring it all the way down, what do we have? Again, a perfect 1, not quite 2 there, but certainly a 3 and a 4. 3. So 1, 2, and 3 separate tests. That definitely is a resistance line in my book. And of course, we have this support line right here that's been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times. Without question, we have a support getting squeezed, reaching an apex on Bitcoin. We're getting that the same thing I showed you yesterday on EOS. If I pull out here, what do we have? Same idea. Is it any coincidence that all these altcoins are getting squeezed tighter and tighter? Same way as Bitcoin. Ethereum getting squeezed tighter and tighter. We're seeing this all throughout the market. What can we expect, guys? This is telling me, this is screaming for a larger move. This is just screaming all throughout the market for a larger move, guys. So again, do I know if it's going to be up or down? No, but it does look like we are going to get some resolution at least in the next week or two. Again, in my opinion, does that mean that has to happen? Absolutely not. Of course not. But in my opinion, the chart is telling me that we are going to get some kind of a larger move in the next couple weeks. Regarding movement on Ethereum, price, where is it going to go from here? I need to see price come back down, stay above this 226 to 220. As long as that holds, I'm going to remain bullish, and I will be cautiously optimistic. I shouldn't say bullish at all. I'm fairly neutral in this market, but I will hold out hope for the bulls as long as we remain above this 226 to 220. And certainly, if I extend this line out, certainly if we can stay above this ascending support line here, that's going to be a very bullish indication. Looking at this prior order block here, if I look at where is this thing finding resistance? It looks like right here, resistance, right here acted as resistance, here it acted as support, resistance, and now it looks like it's acting as, actually it looks like it's acting as resistance right now. Price is barely breaking through, barely getting up, but there's no question that it's finding some kind of resistance right in this zone, and if we can break above that, I do think it'll be a very quick rise. And that's a big if, but if we can break above this resistance line sitting at about 230, I think it'll be a very quick rise to possibly finding resistance at about 245, but I think more than likely this 250 area is a more likely landing zone for Ethereum if it does end up breaking up. To the downside, guys, if we do break below this 220, there is decent support. There's a decent demand zone between about 210 and 205. If it does break below that, then we're going to come back into this demand zone between 196 and 178, and this is the must buy. Now you can buy obviously you can buy wherever you want to. This is not financial advice, but if it does get to this zone, this is the must buy. Anything below, let's call anything below 185, I'd be stacking and buy between 185 and 175 with a stop loss sitting at about 170. That's the must buy zone for me. Again, we may never see that, but if we do, if price does end up going down there, that's going to be the must buy zone for me on Ethereum. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I would appreciate upvote, resteam, or a like if you have enjoyed this content, and depending on where you're viewing this, what site you're viewing this on. And until next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.